Kind of just want to introduce what Erosia is and kind of see what you guys think. I'm Brendan, this is Kaiden. We've been building it from the ground up for almost 2 years now. We're both in high school, and we just want to kind of show you guys what it is and what you guys think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the whole reason why we made this, and this is actually a very funny story. So my favorite surf spot, San Onofre, over in California, was actually completely decimated by soil erosion. And the reason for this is because there was no way of being able to go and survey or sidewalk the area and see where all the main erosion streams were, because the site was too slippery and it was too steep, so no one could really survey it. And I really wanted to make something where just by drawing your study area out, you can see a bird's eye view of where all the main streams are, where erosion is low and high, the different discharge amounts, and also which BMPs will actually give you the most bang for your buck. That way you can really prioritize and know how you can effectively manage your erosion.
For sure. So currently, as you guys know, there's a lot of options to prevent. There's physical options like land surveying. The issue with this is there's a lot of limited accuracy. There's space for human error. There's a lot of kind of guesstimation that goes on. And, it's not as precise as it could be. It's time consuming. You have to worry about getting a team or a crew over there to actually survey the area. And, as you guys know, for a project, every lost day is lost money. So, the faster the better. Super labor intensive. Like we said, you have to have the whole team, and it costs a lot of money to get done. As far as current digital options, there's not really great visualization options for soil erosion, and any good visual options there are require manual input, and they require external software use. And then once you actually get the data, it's super hard to understand and interpret it, and a lot of time it's non-spatial. So you'll get a number for the area, but you're not able to go in and look at each individual parcel, each sub-meter, and see the actual data in that area, especially visually.
So Erosion is a very lightweight computer software that anyone can download. Its main purpose is to visualize exactly where erosion is happening on your study area, where erosion is low and high. That way you can identify what areas you need to prioritize during your management processes. And also to simulate which management practices are going to give you the most bang for your buck, which ones are going to reduce the erosion the most. And it's able to get into consideration all the data that you would usually use, elevation, all the different soil types, and also all the different rainfall. So accumulation of rainfall over different years.
Exactly. And as far as some of the features in Erosia, so there's hydraulic analysis. So when it comes to flow accumulation, you can see where drainage is accumulating into different rivers and streams. Instant report generation, where you can generate a PDF report of all the erosion data of a specific area. There's visual data models, sediment yield calculation, a data obtainer web app, a ton of information on the soil data, so different soil types, calculates the erodibility by soil type, and also a BMP comparing feature, so it compares different BMPs based off of the subject area's information, the slope, everything like that, and lets you know kind of predicted results by placing that BMP in that area. Some of the benefits of Erosia: you get all the data in under 7 minutes. It's super fast, and obviously a lot faster than having people come out and do it. Automated data process, so it's all the data gathering is done through databases that are gathered through our web app. It's super user-friendly, and it's visual representation.
So why should you even consider using Erosia? So Erosia has a ton of different features that uses AI to automate processes that would usually take days, even months to do. So one of our main ones is land use analysis. So we actually have an algorithm that looks at satellite imagery that updates every 6 days and says, hey, this is bare soil, this is vegetation, this is houses. And this really lets you see how your current environment, before any management practice or anything, stops the erosion.
Exactly. Some of the other benefits of Erosia, as far as the visual data goes, you can view the exact location and erosion information within that exact spot by the GPS coordinates of it, view the location of the actual sources of the runoff, see their stream paths. Another big benefit is the ease of use as far as the workflow goes. So there's no manual data collection needed. We gather all the data through databases and existing information. It's super easy to use. Here's the interface for Russell 2, for example. It's clunky, it's complicated. You need, hundreds of different parameters, and it's very time consuming. It obviously takes a lot of practice and experience before you're actually using it professionally. And as here on the right side is an example of the interface for Erosia. Super easy to use, super straightforward, and all the data is gathered via web app instead of having to manually do that.
And also another thing I would really like to emphasize is that because we have so much visual data, you're so much more aware of all the different risks, whether that's sediment like discharging into your river, or whether there's just a massive stream connected that's all running into your river. Because because a lot of these softwares just give very vague details on maybe whether it's just a number, or maybe they visualize different streams, but they don't really take into consideration erosion, soil types, and all that. But the consequences of having vague information is that it really leaves planners unaware of potential hazardous runoff and sediment discharges and accumulation scenarios. And that can result in all sorts of things, because sedimentation, eutrophication, it completely wipe out an entire ecosystem if you let it happen enough. And it can lead to things like where you would need something like dredging, which costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so you can also really view the bigger picture. As you can see in this study area, you can see how all the erosion kind of accumulates on the highway, and they all kind of connect in these different streams. And what that connection really allows you to see is it really lets you see the bigger picture of where you need to put your management practices in order to stop big connected flows from coming into your lakes. And also, this really lets you see maybe there's a certain part of your lake that just has awful water quality. You just don't understand why. This really lets you see the source of that poor water quality.
Another thing is it lets you super quickly view erosion hotspots, so the areas of highest risk within a specific subject area. So you can see here the red is the worst areas, and you're able to use this to determine what spots would produce the greatest ROI for placing BMPs. Instead of placing them on the whole area, which is obviously super expensive, you're able to allocate from your budget which areas need the most funding as far as BMPs go, so that you guys are getting the best bang for your buck where you're putting these BMPs.
And I would also just like to, speaking of BMPs, I would also like to demonstrate one of Erosia's many features. So this is our BMP simulation feature, and I'll just play. Are you guys able to see this video?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, so this really lets you, so like all Erosia features, it's really easy to use. Just draw a box around where you want to put the BMP. And what it's going to let you do is it's just going to let you see a side-by-side comparison of the erosion rates before the BMP and then erosion rates after. So the numbers are a little blurry, but basically it shows how, it basically shows you how the erosion rates reduce after you apply the BMP. And we have a ton of different management practices you can choose from when you're trying to evaluate which one is the most effective.
So continuing on, some more of the benefits. For one, there's the reduced labor cost. It just really speeds up the compliance process and removes a lot of the currently existing kinks. So, you're able to cut cost for, hiring external teams coming in and doing everything like that. Overall, just save money and identify the spots that need the most, help and care to get fixed up and prevent issues in the future.
So our vision, we know that a lot of our tools contain a lot of automation, but we're not trying to replace hydrologists or land surveyors or any of that. I have cousins who are hydrologists. I have friends who are hydrologists. What we're trying to do, yeah, we love you guys. We're not trying to replace you guys. I know the whole thing of AI and automation. We're none of that, trust me. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to give you guys a tool that can act as a catalyst to your guys' current processes that you guys go through when you guys are trying to plan for soil erosion.
Exactly. So some of the stuff we are trying to do is create a universal way of communicating areas that are at high risk. So we have this one map that's able to generate, specific data that is super easy to interpret, and you can easily see what areas need the most risk universally. So one of the big things that we want, that we see as a vision for Erosia is, soil erosion is obviously a massive problem across the entire world, but really it's only focused on for development and projects, while in reality it's a problem for homeowners, it's a problem for anyone, any sort of land in the country, where we have our data right now. But what we have is we have a system that's super easy to use, that you don't need to spend a lot of money to, gather the data for, and that people, actual civilians can use to gather their own erosion data. So the general public is, with Erosia, the general public would be able to see what areas on their own properties have erosion, high erosion rates, and are able to work on some stuff on their own for actual civilians beyond just project development. And additionally, just to improve the communication in MS4 enforcement. Erosia, really what it does is simplify the existing process and add more precision. And that's something that would make MS4 enforcement and communication much, much better. Yeah, so as far as some of the use cases go, as far as MS4 goes, it's able to identify the areas of high erosion and identify high priority projects for funding. For example, developers that are looking to start projects or districts looking to do projects, and they have a list of projects with Erosia without actually going on to the projects. They're able to do a quick lookup essentially on the projects, see if the project is worth doing, see how much actually it would take to fix a lot of the existing erosion issues, and allocate funds to certain projects and decide what would be best, and take away a lot of the risk from the process beforehand so that you're not contracting the project after just to realize that the erosion process is much, much worse than you thought. After you hire someone, you need to spend a lot more money than initially expected. You're able to kind of do a beforehand big overview glance on it. Watershed plan development, it lets you identify which areas BMP should be placed, and see how that would affect the area, and prevent a lot of issues like lawsuits, reduce water quality and destruction of the actual land through erosion in the future. So those are just some of the use cases. I'm sure there's a lot more, but there's also a lot of individual use cases for farmers, people who own their own land, anyone who can, fix the erosion issues on their own property. And in general, if this was in the hands of more people, we'd see overall better water quality, less destruction from erosion every year.
Exactly. And in order to make sure that all of our methods and all of our tools align with industry standards, we actually have worked and collaborated with Dr. Gerald S. Fifield from Hydrodynamics Inc. in order to make sure that we are using all the literature and industry standards. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it today. He was at another webinar. So that's pretty much, before we go into our demo, if you guys would like to see a more in-depth demo, you guys can either email me at kaidensimon@gmail.com, or you can just go ahead and scan this QR code if you want to just book a meeting with us. We can show you any study area you want if you want to see a more in-depth view of how Erosia works, all its different tools, and also what it would look like on your study area.
Yeah, additionally, we'd love to, create anyone who wants it, we'd love to create a free GIS online erosion map that you can actually interact with anywhere you want. We'd love to, create some erosion maps for some DRWW projects.
So before I go into the demonstration of erosion, I'm just going to leave this up for a few seconds, and then, okay, awesome. So I'm going to go into our demonstration now. Let me just move this here. So in terms of actually calculating erosion completely automates this. So what you would really do if you wanted to do this is you would go into whatever directory. You would get all this data from our interactive web app. And so you would select your elevation data, your rainfall data, and then your calvert management data. And then it would just automatically calculate erosion for you. You can just lean back. If you smoke, you can smoke a cigar. I don't know what you do, but you can let this calculate everything for you. And then after that, what you can do is you can go to a layered map. And so now what you're able to see is a really detailed view of just all the erosion that's happening in this watershed. And again, we can go down to like 0.35 meters in spatial resolution. So you can see really good detail on even tiny portions of a giant river like this. And so what we're able to do is we're able to see the different hydrologic streams that accumulate throughout this little river. You're able to toggle different layers on. If you just want to see basic flow accumulation, no erosion, you can see how flow accumulates. And then you're also able to see, if you just want to see where it's really bad in these bears, you just want to see severe erosion, we also have that option. And you're just able to see the severe streams. And we also have because for some reason the USDA was really adamant on us including both the tons per acre and tons per hectare. So we have both of them if you guys really care about metrics. So we have that legend right here. And yeah, so we have annual erosion. And then we also have a few other tools. So we have the sediment yield calculator. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to select any different stream And this is how you can really just see which one you need to prioritize, because you're able to select any different stream here. So let's say we want to select this stream right here. You select the starting point of this stream, and you can just put in the latitude, longitude coordinates like this. And then you select the discharge of the point of the stream. And what this is going to let you see is if there is a significant amount of sediment discharge in the stream, it's going to give you a number. And you're able to compare this number with other streams and see which one you need to prioritize the most. So as you can see, with this stream, we have 21, I'm not saying the whole decimal, but we have 21 metric tons per year going into this river just from this stream alone. And with that information, we're able to go to different streams and compare which one is causing the most discharge, which one is wreaking the most havoc on this river. And let's say you want to see which management practice, let's say you guys were trying to plan out your management practices, and you wanted to see which one would reduce erosion the most. So let's say we want to see how much sediment basin or trap would reduce erosion. So we would just select this, and as promised, all you do is go into whatever stream you're looking at, draw your study area like this, and what it's going to do is we're now able to see a side-by-side comparison of erosion before that management practice and erosion after that management practice. So as you can see, we went from 145 tons per hectare per year, and now we are at 120 tons per hectare per year. Oh, it's blocking this. Let me move. This thing is so annoying. But yeah, so as you can see, we have 330 tons per hectare per year, and now we're down to 250, and we're also down to 120 tons per acre per year. And I also know that there is a lot of changes that go on during, the winter, the fall, and you guys also, of course, add new management practices. And in order to compensate for that, we also have this tool, which lets you see, okay, let's say we wanted to add some new management practices, right? So you would select your working directory. You would type in the area of the site in acres. So this is a 3-acre site. Now you would add whatever management practice you're adding. So let's say we have 1 acre of asphalt. You would calculate the weight of that. And then let's say you also want to add temporary binder. You would say 2 of that. And now what you do is you do calculate reduction. And what this is going to do is going to now see, okay, with a weighted sum of all these different reductions, all these different managements, what is now the new erosion rate after you apply these? So now what we can do is we can go back to render map. We can go to custom reduction, select folder. And now we can see the new. And look at that, just like magic, we're now down to 30 tons per acre per year and 70 tons per hectare per year with those new management practices. So that's pretty much all I have for the demonstration. There are a few other features, but I would like to open this time up now for questions.
Yeah, just raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can extend.
Just curious, so is this more of a proactive approach or more reactive with your entire tool? Is that how I'm just curious how you intend for it to be used.
Of course, yeah, So this is more of a pre-active measure. So before you start the project, you would run this app, get all the information of where all the erosion is happening, and then you would go from there.
Yes, Mary.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what school you're from, and if this is something you're teaching today in elementary or middle school. We would have loved to have had it.
So I'm actually in high school, but yeah. So the main people I've worked with, I've consulted with the USDA and then also Dr. Jerry Fifield in order to make sure that this also stays in what's called industry standards, and it's not just some wild, wicked science project.
Yes. Could it be used for other methods like, say, nitrogen estimates or phosphorus?
Nitrogen estimates. So that's not currently a feature in Erosia, but if you want, we can set up a call and I can try to arrange if we can, because we can tailor that feature custom to you if you'd like.
Yeah, we're still very much like a growing, like we're still looking to add any features that would be beneficial, to anyone in the field. So most of the things that you could think of, we could probably add. So let us know anything and everything, and we'd love to look into adding.
Yes.
Do you have any references for any projects that you've worked on formerly?
Yes, so we've actually collaborated with Dr. Gerald Fifield on a highway project in Idaho. It's crazy that people actually live in Idaho still, but we saw some very good success. We basically compared all of the erosion rates that Erosia generated with all of the. So we compared both the erosion rate, the actual numerical erosion rate that Erosia generated, along with the numerical erosion rate that Dr. Fifield generated, and those lined up very well. And we also compared, because he basically had this whole management plan of, okay, there's a lot of erosion that's predicted to go down here. We need to put a management practice here. So I pretty much just compared Erosia with wherever he was saying we need to put a management practice, and those also lined up perfectly. And another thing is that when Dr. Fifield was analyzing the highway that Erosia predicted on, he also did report that he saw that Erosia was able to successfully predict an erosion discharge occurrence that they didn't know about, and it actually caused a lot of shenanigans at that time.
And a follow-up question, what do you charge for your services?
So for right now, it's completely free. So if you would want, we can set up a call if you want to start using this. We can get you set up, get you an account made, and you can start using it for 100% free.
Yeah, we're at the point right now, we just want it in as many hands as possible. We want as many people using it, letting us know what we can do to improve, and keep developing the app as much as humanly possible. So, yeah, that's what we're saying. Anyone who needs any, erosion reports in any projects, let us know. We'll generate you one, get you set up on the program, and, we'd love to move forward.
Yes, just a quick question. Do you really believe professionals sit around and chain smoke?
I mean, you never know. This job is pretty stressful.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, good job.
Thanks so much.